Holy moly, we've got turn-based mode in Pillars of Eternity 2. Welcome to this turn-based mode overview, you real-time pausing bastards. It is truly something I did not expect at all. Obsidian deserves props for continuing to support this fantastic game and making it better and better after every goddamn patch. It is especially fantastic to see the support after all 3 DLCs have been released. Turn-based mode is currently in beta version of the game. It is not implemented in the full version, though it really looks like it's going to be similar to what it does right now, because there's not many things they need to change. Already this is a very solid system, with couple of things that should be changed and probably will, since this is only in beta phase. Turn-based mode is my favorite type of combat in RPGs, but I never really had any issues with real-time with pause style that is present in games like Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, Pillars of Eternity and so on. I actually like both systems a lot, so I never really felt like turn-based mode is needed for Pillars of Eternity 2. Pillars of Eternity 2 that far was already one of my favorite RPGs of all time. People who follow me on streams and who I talk to a lot know that Fallout 2 is my favorite game of all time. With this mode added and with some of the fantastic additions from a couple of these DLCs, I personally have a contender for the best game that I've ever played, and now that is Pillars of Eternity 2 that far with this mode. It's amazing what Obsidian has done with it. I love every aspect of the game, from ship combat to the world to factions to choices, combat, everything. And now we have completely new depth added to the game with this turn-based mode. So let's talk how this mode actually works. When you start a new game, there are 2 choices. You can choose traditional real-time with pause system or turn-based mode. The biggest thing about turn-based mode is that unlike with real-time mode with pause, you won't miss a beat. When battling in real-time with pause, it's almost impossible to stack up actions so that in millisecond you get them right with the recovery time, casting time and so on. There are always some moves in between that you didn't want, like auto attack or maybe a movement or something else. Turn-based mode fixes all of it. It adds completely new tactical aspect to the game and it makes combat actually easier, in most cases. Initiative plays a huge part in here, because initiative determines who acts when. Initiative can be influenced by dexterity, equipment that you carry and some other things, and the lower your initiative number is, more likely you are to start your turn before the enemy. Every character has one action point and movement. Movement can be used before or after an action. I'm not really sure what influences how far you can move in each round. Dexterity doesn't seem to have an effect on it, so it might be only equipment or some other factor. So in turn-based mode you get one action point. There are 3 types of actions available. One is free action, second one is standard, and third one is casting. Free action won't use your action point. That is something like second wind from athletic skill. If you use that, you're free to move around and use your action point on something else. Now there is a standard action. Those are usually melee abilities or auto attacks, and they perform in that turn. They will consume your action point. Third one is casting. Now casting is influenced by dexterity, meaning action speed, and whenever you cast a spell that is casting type, it will pop up in turn order so that you can see when it's going to land on an enemy or whatever you are targeting at. The higher your dexterity, the faster that spell will be cast. It also depends on what the casting time of that spell is. Some of them will require multiple rounds to be cast, while some of them are standard action type, meaning they will be cast immediately. Like for example Nature's Vigor from Druid. Thankfully, there is also delay turn option, meaning you will be put at the back of the turn order if you use that. It is an important thing to pay attention to because you don't want to rush in most of the time. Wait for the enemies to come to you, prepare your ambush, and then you do your turn. Now let's talk about some bad things about the turn-based mode. There aren't many, mostly annoyances that can be easily fixed. First thing that bothers me is how camera moves from character to character depending on whose turn it is. I didn't see an option to turn that off. Smart camera option doesn't do anything for that, and it can be quite annoying, especially because you can miss spells that are being cast while the camera is switching from one enemy to another, especially if they are far away. That's another thing. Before, you could do your battles with smaller groups without pulling the other ones. In this case, when playing in turn-based mode, you are likely to pull everything, which in this case means that the camera will be switching like mad from your position to far away position, which plays no real significance what is currently happening on the battlefield. Easily fixable by just giving us an option to let the camera be where we left it. Second thing that is quite obvious is that when attacking an enemy that has already been surrounded by your own teammates, you are likely to push your teammates away just so that you can get to that enemy. That can lead your teammates into some nasty situations where they don't want to be. Now this might be a tougher fix, but I'm not a developer, so I have no clue. It is one thing that really needs their attention. There is a minor issue as well with combat speed. If you're playing the game in fast mode, which most of us are, but you want your combat to be at normal speed and you actually adjust that beneath the fast mode, it will still be at maximum speed when you start the combat. It's an easy fix really, nothing special here, just a minor annoyance that some of you won't even notice. Now here is the biggest issue, potentially biggest issue, doesn't really have to be, for most people. On Path of the Damned, when you miss a lot, battles will take a long time to complete, especially at the beginning of the game. I've been playing through that first island where you get your ship, and some battles took a long bloody time on Path of the Damned, especially the dragon one, the Drake one. But it speeds up after a while when you get the hang of the new system. Just be prepared that sometimes it's gonna take a long bloody time to finish a single fight. There is a minor annoyance here as well, for example when there is one enemy left and you are controlling a bunch of imbeciles that can't hit the broadside of a barn with a sword, then you'll be constantly ending turns at auto attack, end turn, auto attack, end turn, auto attack, and it can take quite a while to actually finish the bloody bastard. But that is expected in turn-based mode, on Path of the Damned. On lower to medium difficulties you won't have issues with that, I think combat will be much faster there. Anyway, thank you all for watching this video. I hope this puts you into mood for another Pillars of Eternity 2 run. It definitely makes me want to play it again. Unfortunately, I don't have the time, but I would love to play it again, since the game is absolutely brilliant and I'm loving the new turn-based mode. Anyway, thank you all for watching and see you soon.